Well, good morning. Welcome to the President's Chapel. I have the honor today of introducing our speaker, the Chancellor of MBU, Dr. Alton Lacey. I could spend the next few minutes talking about his many accomplishments while president here at MBU, but what I'd rather do is to share with you some other insights about him. I've had the privilege of knowing and working with Dr. Lacey for 23 years. I've learned much from him in those years, and I admire many of the qualities that I have consistently seen him demonstrate time and time again. These are qualities that I would encourage you to embrace in your own life as well. For example, recognize the value and the importance of each individual that you meet. It doesn't matter who Dr. Lacey is engaged with, whether it's a student, a faculty, or a staff, a corporate CEO, or an incoming freshman and their parents, he's the same. He treats everyone he encounters with dignity, respect, and thoughtful consideration. He finds the good in people and with a confident kindness that makes others feel valued and important. In other words, he loves his neighbor as himself. Secondly, live a life that creates a happy balance between work, family, and free time. Well, what does that balance look like? Well, we know that Dr. Lacey, as university president, has flourished at every level. Under his leadership, enrollment has grown, new buildings have been built, academic programs have been expanded, and for the last 5 years, MBU has been named as a top workplace in the St. Louis. And the list goes on and on and on. Those are things that are easily observed and the result of a very successful career and strong work ethic. But equally important to him is his family. Dr. Lacey is deeply devoted to his family. He and his wife, Pat, have been an exceptional team for 47 years. Pat, a retired assistant professor of music, taught at MBU for 20 years and retired recently. They have 2 grown children, Aaron, a leading education attorney here in St. Louis, who's married to Andy, and they're both with us today. And then, of course, their daughter, Brenna, who serves here at MBU as a director of fitness. The Laceys also have 3 grandchildren they enjoy spending time with as well, August, Ella, and Truman. So here are a few things that you may not know about Dr. Lacey and some ways that he likes to spend his free time. Dr. Lacey has routinely appeared in theater and musical productions over the years at MBU. He's an accomplished musician, playing the guitar and the drums, and I'm pretty sure he even has his own band. He's an avid fly fisherman. He builds his own custom fly rods and is routinely chasing the next big trout out in Colorado or Montana. He's a certified fitness instructor and leads his own, and I might add, well-attended fitness class on Monday mornings at 7:30, and you should all show up next Monday morning. It would be a big surprise. And I'm also quite sure that he can hold a plank longer than anyone in chapel here today. Lastly, I would encourage all of you, and this happens to be one of our university core values, is to be serious and intentional about your Christian faith. Dr. Lacey has a deep and abiding faith in Jesus Christ. From that faith, he has answered a distinctive calling to be a leader in Christian higher education, first for 19 years at Louisiana College, and then for the last 23 years here at MBU. He's helped to create a culture where faculty and staff and students have the opportunity to flourish and aspire to reach their own God-given potential. When I think about his legacy and the qualities that I've shared with you this morning, it reminds me of the Christian life that we're all called to live. It's the kind of life that Alton Lacey has exemplified at Missouri Baptist University these past 23 years. He's my mentor, my colleague, my good friend. Would you help me to welcome Chancellor Lacey this morning?
Well, after that, we could really just all go have cookies and forego this, but nah, I'll go ahead anyway. By the way, the whole cookie thing started years ago. Some of you, well, none of you remember Andy Kaufman. I mean, there are a few people who would. He was a sometime comedian on Saturday Night Live back when it was funny, back in the old days. And one night after a performance, he invited everybody outside the theater to have animal crackers and milk. So I thought, that sounds pretty cool. So the first time we ever did it after President's Chapel, we had animal cookies and milk. Well, people didn't really care for animal cookies and milk that much, so now we just have really good cookies. And we have them today. And my general thing has been, yeah, but you have to be good to get the cookies. So if you don't listen, no cookies. That's the deal. That beautiful hymn that was played by the Ringers was at my special request. I asked Dr. Benton last to fall if she would mind doing it. She said, well, as a matter of fact, we've done that before, and we have it, and we haven't done it in a long time. We'll be glad to. It's very meaningful to me for reasons I will share with you later on. My inauguration as president was in 1995. Now, just a show of hands, how many of you were born in 1995 or later? Yeah, a good many. Okay. How many of you were at my inauguration? Actually, at my inauguration. Is Dr. Dykstra here? Is he here? He's not here. Dadgummit, I was going to. You know, he was at Lincoln's inauguration, and I just wondered how mine compared. We have always had a contest to see who could have the shiniest shoes. And I do pretty well, but I learned he was taking his to a shoe shop to get them shined. And so he had a leg up on me for a long time, but I think I'm doing all right now. But I shine my own. I don't take mine to the shoe shop. At the conclusion of my inaugural address, I did something that very few, if any, presidents have ever done. I sang a chorus of a verse of this hymn, How Can I Keep From Singing? And most people don't remember anything I said that day, but some of them still do remember that I burst out into song because it just wasn't done. I actually had planned to read the words, and something gripped me, and so I wound up singing the verse. The first verse, and it's the only one I sang, goes like this. My life goes on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? Those words are just as true about my life today as they were 23 years ago when one of the inaugural speakers said that I was beginning the splendid agony of being a college president. How do I sum up 23 years in 20 minutes? Well, I'm not going to sum everything up for you. I thought about just taking the best parts of my 60 or so chapel messages through the years, but that would have taken me too long to read. It's about 600 pages, and frankly, I was a little bored with all of it myself. So I decided just to make some brief personal remarks about my journey and what it has been like over these past few years. If I can get this page turned. Why am I leaving, first of all? Well, the short answer is I'm ready. It's a good time for me and for the university. Every year since I was 5 years old, I have started the year on a campus, either as a student, a teacher, or an administrator. For the last 42 years, I've headed to a Christian college campus. I'll be 68 years old this year. I got an early start. I started school when I was 5. I skipped a grade, actually combined the 7th and 8th grade, and so I went to college when I was 16. I actually took courses when I was 15. I graduated and got married when I was 20. I became a dean of students when I was 25. I was barely older than the students. I was a vice president when I was 29. I still don't know why the president did that, but he did, and it worked out all right. I came here, I was 44 years old, still reasonably young for a university president. I have been in a high-stress job for a long, long time. I cannot remember when I did not go to bed at night or get up in the morning without thinking about my work. In the mid-'70s, Gail Sheehy wrote a book entitled Passages, and she talked about the passages that people make through life, the various stages they go through. The first time I read that book, I was 24. I was at the front end of all of that. Now I'm at the other end, and I'm ready to take that next step and make that next passage. A second factor is this is a good time for the university. I started considering this about 3 years ago when I could see some things coming together that I really deeply cared about. I wanted to see our accreditation affirmed. I wanted to see Spartan Village completed. I wanted to see football get underway. And I wanted to see the nursing program in place. Now, all of that has come together in the last couple of years, so it's a good stopping place for me. The university is in a good place. The appointment of Dr. Ross assured a smooth transition. He's a very strong and capable leader. He's a graduate of MBU. He has a love for this university. It's in good hands, and the school is going to continue to grow and prosper under his capable leadership. Another thing is I didn't want to wait till it was too late. I was greatly influenced by the experience of my father, who waited until he was in his late 70s, and then, unfortunately, spent several years caring for my mother, who had Alzheimer's. Even though he lived a few years after her death, he never was able to enjoy retirement or do the things that they had hoped to do together. Now, I am simultaneously excited, frightened, and tinged a little bit with sorrow at leaving friends and a work that I've enjoyed at a place that I have grown to love. It actually feels more than a little weird. For example, Dr. Ross and I swapped offices and parking places, and I've gotten in his car twice to go home. It's true. I got in and I sat down, and there was this letter that said, President Ross, and I'm thinking, why did they put that in my car? He should really lock the door to his car. Another thing is, if I had known that I was going to end up in his office, I would have given him a bigger office a long time ago. The president that I used to work for entitled a chapel address, Is It Wrong to Love a College? And he talked about how even though he didn't attend the school, he had grown to love it. Well, I've grown to understand what he meant by that. I came here in the beginning because I felt called by God to this work, though there was a time when I thought he had gotten the wrong number when he called. The first few years were very difficult for a lot of reasons. There were some very significant and some sometimes overwhelming challenges. But there are also great opportunities, which is one of the things that appeal to me about coming here. At my inauguration, an alumnus came up to me and said, I'm tired of hearing about how much potential Missouri Baptist has. I'm ready to see the school realize some of that potential. The many constituents of this school have worked very hard to get it where it is today. And in working with donors and trustees and faculty and staff and students over the years, I've developed a deep love and affection for this place that I carry today and will carry into retirement. About 10 years ago, I had a chance at another opportunity at another university, and Pat and I made a conscious and prayerful decision that as long as MBU wanted us, it would be the place from which we would retire, and it is truly a blessing to be able to do that on our own terms. I have a lot of affection for MBU, its people, and its groups, and I want to say something a little bit about that. First, students. Simply put, I couldn't have had a career without you. You've kept me young, you've kept me engaged, you've humbled me, you've occasionally aggravated me, but I've always been grateful for you. In truth, I will miss you most of all. The times I've spent in plays and musicals and concerts and athletic events and classrooms, both watching and participating, are some of the highlights of my life. Over 12,000 students have received degrees during my presidency. 160 the first year, by the way, to give you some idea. Thousands more have attended. I've always tried my best to make it about you. I will miss your youth, your energy, and I will always revel in your success and root for you to make the world a better place. One of the greatest joys I have is encountering graduates and students around the St. Louis area, and I hope that if you see me out and about that you'll take a moment to speak to me and tell me what is going on in your life. Faculty. At my inauguration, Dr. Thomas Howell, one of the speakers for the occasion, said that I should enable, inspire, and irritate you. I've tried my best. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You'll have to figure which 2, but in all seriousness, I deeply respect you and the way that you have helped students flourish by your dedication to teaching, your faithful presence. I'm the envy of my presidential colleagues for your willingness and cooperation in working with the administration toward a better MBU. And because of you, we are the only college or university to be listed every year in the highest category of top St. Louis workplaces. Your service is an inspiration, and I'm eternally grateful to you for what you've meant to me personally. Staff, to those of you who keep the financial engines humming, the campus safe, the buildings clean and functional, the grounds beautiful, the teams coached, the buses running, the residence halls inviting, the coffee brewing, the events planned, and all the other things that go along with running a university, I say thank you for making this such a pleasant environment in which to work for all these years. With your hard work, we've come light years from where we were when I first came. When I first came to the school, when you drove up around the big circle around there, the big curve, where Lot A is now, there was a shed. Now, I'm from Louisiana, and I know what a shed is, and this was one. And that's the first thing you saw when you drove into the campus. Maintenance had claimed it, and they had their stuff down there and all, but we've come a long ways since those days, and it's because of all of us working together. In fact, there's a group of presidents who like and admire our staff and facilities and food so much that they voted to meet here permanently instead of moving the meeting around to their own campuses. I get comments all the time from visitors about the beauty and cleanliness of our campus, and I know it's true because I visited so many campuses myself over the years. The President's Administrative Council consists of the directors and department heads from all our campuses. They are responsible for planning, budgeting, and most important to me, advising the President. A lot happens in those times together, including a lot of honesty, intense reflection, and soul searching. There's also prayer and caring. And I want to thank you for praying with and for me, for telling me when an idea was good, or especially when it was bad, for taking criticism when it was necessary, and for doing all with open minds and winsome spirits. The President's Cabinet is made up of the senior vice presidents. I can't imagine 4 better colleagues. They've taken responsibility for making hard decisions. They've protected me when I needed it. They stood in the breach in difficult times, and always, well, almost always, with the Christ-like spirit. Most of the time. They had their ideas, they took my ideas, and they made them reality. I served as a vice president myself for 15 years, so I know what it's like to take the public assertions of the president and somehow put them into practice. But MBU is fortunate to have you, and I was especially fortunate to have such a great team. You made my life easier, and you've made MBU into a great place. Trustees, the president works at the pleasure of the board. Good boards do not micromanage, but they are critical as enablers, prayer warriors, and encouragers to the president. My board chairs have been incredible, and the board has been a joy to work with. They've always put students, faculty, and staff first, and they've taken the necessary risks to move MBU forward. I also want to give a shout out to my family. Dr. Ross, I've already mentioned them. My wife of 47 years, 20 as a professor here. Yeah, that's pretty good, huh? To stay with me for 47 years is great. This university has been the largest part of our professional life, and being the president's wife is no picnic. Being my wife's hard enough without that. But not only she had to put up with all my distractions, but as a faculty member, her role was always filtered through the lens of being the president's wife. However, she handled it incredibly well. She contributed far more to this institution than many will ever realize. My daughter Brenna was in the 5th grade when we moved here. Never expected her to become a colleague, but that's actually been a blessing for the past several years. She's very devoted to MBU and especially to fitness and athletics. My son Aaron moved here after a successful stint as a higher ed lawyer in Washington, D.C., and now heads up a similar practice at the Thompson Coburn Law Firm. Our daughter-in-law took time out from flying jets as a commercial airline pilot to raise our 3 grandchildren who are going to have a hard time understanding why they no longer have the run of the MBU campus. You've probably seen them climbing the MBU Spartan statue or running around the track. My deep love and gratitude to you all. Together, we've accomplished some exciting things in the past 2 decades. I love building things. I liked having large cranes on the campus. I like putting on a hard hat and going and walking around. My favorite, of course, is this building. It is our signature building, and it set the tone for our new construction. The staff at that time said we couldn't raise the money, but we did. The original design, by the way, did not have the dome. It had this sort of thing shaped like the bow of a ship sticking out, and trustees didn't like that, so we went back to the drawing board, and who could imagine this building and without the symbolism, the actual dome and the symbolism that we've used from it. Of course, the Sports and Rec is another favorite of mine, our second anchor building, but there's also the Perk and Spartan Village and Spartan Field. It was really a lot of fun to work on. Academically, we've added master's degrees, doctoral degrees, and most recently, a nursing program. We've expanded our regional learning centers as well as our distance learning. And our sports teams have been very successful, winning national championships in women's indoor and outdoor track, men's volleyball, baseball's been in the World Series a couple of times, women's volleyball's made the Final Four in the championship game. There have been many other conference championships and national tournaments in several sports. All to say, we have a very successful athletic program, and certainly one of my favorite projects was the addition of football. We have some of the best coaches at anywhere, at any level, and it's been a joy to work with them and get to know them. Now, there's some things I won't miss. Budgets, never cared for the time of year when we did the budget. Frustrating not to be able to meet all the needs of our campus, and everybody's kind of cranky. And for those of you students, that's in January and early February, so just be careful during that time. Angry people. They're always angry people, and they always want to talk to the president these days. But one of my best, this is just kind of funny. I had a student come in one time and ask me if I would fix a ticket. I said, well, have you tried going down to security? She said, nah, they're too busy. So, okay. I didn't fix the ticket, by the way. I won't miss the stress. I won't miss the ups and downs and the big swings that go along. It's hard to describe. I knew a president once who kind of described it like riding a bucking horse. You deal with it, but you never really get used to it. And it can get a little lonely at times when you are charged with making all these decisions. I won't miss those nights when I woke up and could not get back to sleep because I couldn't get my brain out of problem-solving mode. But those things will fade, and I will only have pleasant thoughts and memories. Now, what will I miss? I'm going to miss the travel on behalf of the school. My life has been so enriched because of that. I've been all over Central and Western Europe and Egypt and Tunisia and Morocco. In fact, I got left at the pyramids once with a couple of other guys, and was before cell phones, and we didn't have any way to contact anybody. And so they came back later to pick us up and said, well, we didn't know where you were. I said, we were at the pyramids. You can see them from space. I mean, come on. Anyway, but I've been all over, had some great times with our musical groups singing in cathedrals around the world, and spent a sabbatical in England near the Cotswolds, and every trip I ever made to represent MBU was a true joy. Met a lot of famous people. Presidents, senators, congressmen, governors. I met Bill Gates, Albert Pujols, Billy Graham, lots of other famous people. I even got to throw out the first pitch at the old Busch Stadium many years ago. I'll miss serving on the boards that I serve on and representing MBU, because my life has been enriched by those associations, and because of it I have friends all over. But I really will miss the start of school and all that goes with that. I'll miss the president's party when I got to become a stand-up comedian for one night. The faculty and staff know what I'm talking about. I'll miss being in the musicals and plays. I'll miss commencement, especially the bagpipes. Maybe I can have them come over and play for me sometimes. I'll miss the beginning of summer when student activity gives way to off-campus groups and construction projects, and the excitement starts to build again, and with Welcome Weekend and all the promise that brings. And I'll also miss making decisions that help to make people's lives better. Well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do next? Well, we're going to do some traveling. We have a lot of things on our list. I don't know if we'll make them or not, but we want to go to Australia, New Zealand. My wife wants to go to Croatia. We might go to Cuba, maybe to Iceland, maybe back to Ireland or England. I want to go to spring training. Never been able to do that. Do some more fly fishing and custom rod building, some more with the grandkids, do some fitness classes, church and volunteer work, all of those kinds of things. Sleep, which sounds kind of nice. I may even binge watch some TV. I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones, so maybe I'll try to watch that. Yeah, I know. You're saying, I don't know if you should do that or not. Well, we'll see. I know a lot of faculty who do that, by the way, so who watch that. At my inauguration, I told those in attendance to put MBU in your heart and your heart in MBU. I hope you will remember me well as one who did that, who tried to be fair, who was concerned with nurturing your mind and your soul, and with helping you navigate both smooth and troubled waters. I hope faculty and staff will remember me as someone who endowed you with responsibility and let you do your job. I hope I will be welcome to visit occasionally. I'll continue to support MBU and the leadership, and I will pray for your continued success. Everyone in this community has an important role to play as learners, professors, and enablers, not just the president. It has been an honor and privilege to serve you, but it is time for me to let go of my time here and move on to whatever God has next in store for me. I would like to close as I began 23 years ago with this hymn. It's written by a Baptist minister in the 19th century. The words provide some perspective on life. Trouble and change is going to happen, but it's nothing when compared to the promise of Christ. Passages are the reality of life. For Christians, there is faith in the much larger reality of our sovereign Lord who has redeemed the world and one day will return. My acceptance of Jesus Christ as my Savior has informed all of my life and taken me through times of light and darkness, but always with the promise that no matter the trials and tribulations, my life will go on in endless song. Don't make me lose my pitch. My life goes on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the darkness round me falls? I know the truth it liveth. What though the tempest round me roars? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble sick with fear, and hear their death knells ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? In prison cells and dungeons vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? My life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, those freedom bells come ringing. Since love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Thank you. Thank you, MBU. Thanks. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, MBU, for everything. Now go get some cookies.